Welcome to part 3 in the readout of the official affidavit documents in the case of Jaqueline Torres-Garcia, who we call Mimi. We are now going back into where they were interviewing Jonathan Nanita, and the first interview is concluding at 20:31 hours, and we're now going to move into where his second interview starts. The second interview started on October 9th, 2025 at 12:45 a.m. when Officer Corwick asked him if he would answer some follow-up questions. Officer Corwick had learned details of the interview with Carla Garcia, who had accused Nanita of unaliving Mimi. Garcia stated that she and her daughter got into an argument because Mimi was upset that Carla was pregnant again. They fought and fell down the stairs together. Carla stated that Nanita intervened and was kicking Mimi and stomping on Mimi's head. Carla stated that Mimi was bleeding and crying, but she did not interfere because she was afraid of Nanita. Carla told Detective Carl that Nanita collected trash bags and she never saw Mimi again. Carla told the detective that Nanita was abusive and she believed Mimi was deceased, but she did not know what he did with her. She claimed to have no knowledge of the bin. She also stated that this occurred at 135 Wellington Drive in Farmington and that she was 6 months pregnant with the minor whose initials they're going by AN. Officer Corwick confronted Nanita with Carla's allegations that he was responsible for what happened to Mimi. Nanita denied responsibility and stated that he would never hurt a child. Officer Corwick detailed Carla's allegation and he denied it. Nanita maintained that he was willing to tell the truth and stated that he never hit the kids. During the second interview, Nanita agreed to provide his buccal DNA sample for this investigation. He completed and signed a consent to search DNA form and provided a sample. His second interview concluded at approximately 1:09 a.m. On October 10th, 2025, Detective Martin reviewed the two interviews of Carla Garcia conducted by Detective Carl of the New Britain Police Department on October 8th and 9th. The first interview with Carla Garcia was on October 8th, 2025 at approximately 22:30 hours. In that interview, Carla confirmed that she lived at 24 Tremont Street with her sister Jaqueline Garcia, daughter Mimi, daughter NG, daughter JN, son M, and daughter AN. Just as a reminder, when we are discussing minors, they're going to refer to them by initials. That is why I was giving initials. Carla Garcia confirmed that prior to residing on Tremont Street, she lived at 135 Wellington Drive in Farmington, Connecticut, with the same individuals and Jonathan Nanita, the biological father of JN, MN, and AN. When asked where her children were, Carla responded that they were with a cousin on Dwight Street in New Britain. They discussed her relationship with Nanita. Carla stated that they broke up 9 months ago and that Nanita was abusive. Carla reported that Nanita had hit her in the past, but that she was too afraid to report it to the police. She told the detective that Nanita last lived with her when she was living in Farmington, but that he still had personal property at her Tremont Street home. Carla agreed that Nanita would come and go freely regarding his residency there. Carla stated that Nanita came to the house today, which had been October 8th, 2025, acting nervous and asking for money. Nanita then took their daughter AN's iPad. Detective advised Carla that New Britain police had gone to the Dwight Street address and that all her children were accounted for except for Mimi. Carla acted surprised, repeatedly asking, "What do you mean?" She said all her kids were supposed to be at Dwight Street and confirmed they were there when she left. When asked if Mimi could have been with a friend or dropped off elsewhere, Carla said no. Detective Mordasowicz then told Carla Garcia that his supervisor had informed him her children were with her sister, Carolyn Cruz, on Kelsey Street, but that Mimi was still unaccounted for. Carla again acted surprised. The detective advised Carla that Nanita told detectives what had happened earlier that day involving a tote. Carla appeared confused and asked what had happened. Detective informed her that no one had seen Mimi in over a year and that he believed Mimi's body might be the one recovered in the tote. When the detective asked what happened, Garcia initially denied knowing, but then said it had been Jonathan Nanita. She said she had been afraid to tell the police because she feared Nanita would unalive her or her children. Carla continued to deny knowing what had happened to Mimi, but said Nanita would know. She stated the last time she saw Mimi was when Nanita took her approximately 8 months earlier, while they were living in Farmington. Carla stated that Nanita did not like Mimi because she was making her, Carla, depressed, and she didn't like that she, Carla, was pregnant with another one of his children. Carla stated that Mimi threw her down a flight of stairs when they were living in Farmington. Carla explained that she was 6 months pregnant at the time. Carla stated after the incident she didn't know where Nanita took Jaqueline, but she never came back and she never reported it to the police. Carla later stated after falling down the stairs during the incident, she sustained injuries to her legs that lasted 2 weeks and resulted in permanent damage to her left leg. Carla said that after the fall, Nanita helped her upstairs to bed and that she remained there for 2 weeks, unable to walk or use the bathroom without assistance. Carla said she never saw Mimi after that and that whenever she asked Nanita where Jaqueline was, he told her not to ask. Carla told the detective that it was not her fault and that she didn't know what had happened. Carla stated that Nanita lived with her while they were in Farmington, where this occurred. The detective asked Carla if she knew if Mimi was still alive, and she stated that she didn't. Carla went on to say that she wonders every day. Carla explained that she is in fear for her life, in fear of her kids' lives, and that Nanita stalks her. The detective went on to ask Carla if Mimi's sister NG ever asked where her sister was. Carla stated that NG was scared, but never asked where Mimi was. The detective asked how the relationship was between Carla and Mimi. Garcia stated that Mimi did not like her because her father's family put Mimi against her, made Mimi mad at her, and tried to keep Mimi away from her. The detective informed her that Nanita had told detectives what had happened. Carla claimed he was lying. When asked if Nanita had killed her daughter, Garcia said yes, explaining that Mimi had fallen down the stairs and Nanita had stomped on her head. Carla stated that Mimi was bleeding a little and she was still moving. Carla stated that Nanita proceeded to pick up Mimi and throw her down the second set of stairs leading to the basement. She said she did not know what happened afterward, but that Nanita later told her he put Mimi in a bag and, quote, put shit on her. Carla said Nanita had been, quote, dealing with it, and that she was not the one covering it up. Carla said she did not tell anyone because she was afraid of Nanita, who had threatened to unalive her through text messages. She attempted to show the detective the messages, but never produced any. When the detective expressed disbelief, Carla again described the incident, saying Mimi pushed her, fell on top of her, and that Nanita then began striking Mimi, stomping on her head before throwing her down the basement stairs. Carla stated that people had asked about Mimi and she told them, quote, she's not here. She said no one cared about her children and that Mimi's father had not done anything for 9 months, leaving her to raise 5 children on her own. Carla ultimately denied any involvement in Mimi's death or the disposal of her remains, continuing to blame Nanita. On October 9, 2025 at 19:39 hours, the detective was tasked with conducting a follow-up interview with Carla Garcia after they obtained additional information from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiners. The interview was conducted at the New Britain Police Department. The preliminary investigation of the autopsy of Mimi Torres-Garcia resulted in no obvious signs of recent trauma, but noted there were signs of malnourishment. Based on the preliminary autopsy results, the statements made by Carla Garcia during her interview with New Britain investigators on October 8, 2025, where she said that Mimi was unalived by her boyfriend, Jonathan Nanita, by stomping on her head and throwing her down the stairs to the basement, are not consistent with the findings of the Office of the Medical Examiner. That's going to be the end of part 3. I will see you over in part 4. Thank you for listening. As always, something that helps the channel is if you can make sure that you are following me, sharing, and liking. Thank you so much for your support. I'll see you in the next one.